As Detective Jack Leon was driving to the crime scene, he hoped it wouldn't start snowing again. It had stopped snowing about an hour ago. The crime scene was on the outskirts of the city, and he didn't want the roads to be too snowy for the drive back. Jack pulled up in front of the house that had the police tape around it. The house was isolated and surrounded by some woods. It was a full moon, so the house was cast in an eerie light. When Jack got out of his car, he was taken to the home's owner, Josh McAdams. He was sitting in the back of an ambulance. Jack had talked to the EMT and learned that Josh had been cut a few times and stabbed once, but he'd survive. He just needed some stitches. Jack also learned that his wife, Heather McAdam, wasn't as lucky.
Heather McAdam wasn't as lucky.
Heather McAdam. Her dead body was in one of the upstairs bedrooms. Jack decided to talk to Josh because his injuries weren't life-threatening. Jack noted that Josh looked pale, and he was clearly upset.
Mr. McAdams, I'm Detective Jack Leon. I'm sorry about your wife and about your injuries. Can you tell me what happened?
Josh took a deep breath and said,
It had stopped snowing, so I went outside and shoveled the driveway.
Oh.
As I was finishing up, I heard glass breaking. At first, I didn't know what had happened. I immediately checked the windows on the front of the house, but they didn't appear to be broken. Then I heard Heather scream. I ran into the house, and in the front foyer, a man wearing a mask rushed at me. He was carrying a knife.
Okay.
We started fighting, and he cut and stabbed me. I was able to slip away from him, and he ran out the front door. He sprinted to the road. At the end of the driveway, he dropped the knife, and he took off the mask. And he also dropped the mask at the end of the driveway. I didn't get a good look at him because he got into a car that was driven by someone else. Then they drove away.
And what did the car look like?
I couldn't tell you. It was a black car. I think it was like a Honda Civic or something like that.
Do you know how the man got into the house?
He came out of the woods at the back of the house. He broke the window on the back door.
Okay. How do you know he came through the woods at the back?
Jack asked.
Well, I was outside shoveling the driveway in the front of the house. If he approached the house from the front or the sides, I would have seen him.
Jack drove by the woods on the way to the crime scene. He thought the woods were about 200 yards long, and on the opposite side from the McAdams house was a large shopping center. Someone could have made their way through the woods from the shopping center to the back of the McAdams house. Jack then looked at the house. Josh was right. He would have seen someone approach from the sides of the house.
Okay. Is there anyone who would have wanted to hurt your wife?
Jack asked.
My wife is a teacher at an elementary school, and I know she is having problems with another teacher named Diana.
Josh shook his head, like it would help make things make sense in his mind.
I honestly don't know, Detective. Heather was a lovely woman, and there was no reason for her to die like that.
Okay. I'm sorry, Mr. McAdams, but I have to ask. How was your marriage? Were you having an affair? Was Heather seeing someone else?
We didn't have the best marriage. We fought sometimes, but nothing too serious. I've never cheated on my wife. I also don't think Heather was having an affair either.
Thank you, Mr. McAdams. I'll let you get to the hospital. I may stop by if I have more questions.
Please, Detective Leon, find out who killed the love of my life.
I'll do my best, Mr. McAdams.
The ambulance drove away. Jack walked to the end of the driveway, which had recently been shoveled. At the end of the driveway, there was a large kitchen knife that was covered in blood. There was also a rubber Halloween mask that was splattered with blood. Jack called a uniformed officer to have the evidence photographed and collected. Jack then made his way into the house while a crime scene photographer followed him. When they got inside, they both put disposable booties on their feet. The first thing Jack saw was blood on the floor in the foyer of the house. This was where Josh said he had fought with the killer. Jack saw a trail of blood drops leading deeper into the house. Jack wasn't a blood splatter specialist, but he knew the blood had probably dripped off the killer. Together, Jack and the photographer ascended the stairs. They followed the blood drops on the upstairs hallway floor to the master bedroom. Jack braced himself and stepped into the room. People often asked him if going to crime scenes got any easier. Jack would always say,
Nope. They're all terrible. in their own special way.
This case absolutely proved the rule. Jack didn't want to touch the body until the medical examiner had a chance to look the body over. Instead, he had the photographer follow him into the guest bedroom, then the washroom, and finally, an office that was also upstairs. The office looked like the room where Heather McAdam had done her marking and prep work. On one of the walls was a poster of Leonardo da Vinci. Otherwise, there was no art on the wall. There was also a makeup mirror on her desk that was neat and orderly. Very carefully, Jack searched the office for something that might be hidden. He might be able to close the case if he could find hidden love letters or pictures Diana didn't want anyone to see, or...
Oh, look at this. A secret diary.
Jack said as he found a small moleskin journal in a closet in the office. The photographer took a picture of where Jack found the journal. Then, Jack opened it to the last page. It was dated yesterday.
Huh. What does this mean?
Jack asked aloud, but the photographer didn't say anything. Jack flipped through the journal. It was new, and only 4 pages had writing on them. Jack had photographs of each page taken, and then he put it in an evidence bag. Maybe it could help him figure out who killed Heather and why they killed her. Jack then went downstairs to the kitchen. He immediately felt a chill. The window from the back door had been smashed, and there was glass on the kitchen floor. The cold air was invading the warmth of what Jack was told was a happy home. Jack looked out into the backyard that was lit up because of the full moon. The back door was about 100 feet from the edge of the dark woods. Jack checked the knife block. One knife was missing, and the handle of the knives in the block looked a lot like the handle of the knife that was at the end of the driveway.
I'd bet my pension that the murder weapon came from that knife block.
Jack thought to himself. The photographer continued to snap shots of the kitchen. Besides the broken window on the back door and the missing knife, nothing else in the kitchen was out of sorts. Jack then drove back to the police station. Hours later, the crime scene photographer emailed him the pictures. He started going through them, and when he saw one, he picked up his phone and called the emergency room. Jack held his breath while he waited for someone to respond. Then, he said,
This is Detective Jack Leon. Is Josh McAdam still there? He was brought in a few hours ago with cuts and a stab wound. Yeah? Great. Hold him there. I'm coming to arrest him for the murder of his wife.
What did Jack find that convinced him that Josh was the killer?
Thanks for watching today's video. This video's special guest star was Robin Warder, the host of the brilliant and tremendously popular true crime podcast, The Trail Went Cold. It's like Unsolved Mysteries, but in podcast form. You can find a link to his website in the description box below. We'll have an answer to this video next Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then, an hour later, at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll have a brand new mystery for you. Thanks again, and good luck with your investigation.